name is John. I work for a company called Stantec, and I now work as a paleontologist. But when I started off my career, my first job was as a mining geologist in South Africa. I started off, after I graduated, the oil price fell through the floor, and so I had these plans to work in oil that went away. So I was looking around for a job, and I saw some jobs advertised in mining in South Africa, working for a gold mine. And it seemed a long shot at the time, but I put in my application, and probably about 6 months later, I found myself in South Africa for the first time. When I was working in mining, a really typical day for me would be I'd get up at about 7 in the morning and then head to the office, and then I'd go off to the mine shaft. I'd collect my assistant first from the office, and then we'd go off to the mine shaft together, get changed into our mining gear. So we'd be wearing coveralls, pick up our lamp that fixes onto your hard hat, to your safety lamp. And then we'd line up and we'd get into the cage. So that's basically what the lift is called when you go underground. And we go down in the cage to the level that we'd planned to meet the shift boss or the foreman. After that, we meet him and we walk out to the area where they're actually doing the mining. And I would then either be logging, so I'd be measuring sections through parts of the mine to understand what the geology was doing, or I'd also be looking at the areas where they were about to do blasting to check that they were in the right part of the rock formation. And what was interesting about the rocks that I was working on in the gold mining was that it was a sedimentary deposit. So it wasn't very contorted, it wasn't made up of veins and that kind of geology, but it was a layered deposit, but it was sort of quite steeply dipping, and it had a lot of faults as well. So my job was to try and interpret what those faults were doing and how the sediments changed laterally. Favorite thing about mining? Well, first of all, when you're mining, you're seeing new stuff all the time. So as they're blasting through the rocks, everything that you see is completely new. So no one's ever had a chance to see it before. And the kind of geology that I was working on was about 2.2 billion years old. So very, very old rocks, very little evidence of any life forms. And so those rocks were really very different to anything you'd see today. And just to give you an example of some of the exciting things that you could see when you're underground, we had about a half a kilometer fault running through the middle of the mine. So the rocks were moved by 500 meters. And what had happened was that the gold bearing interval had a lot of carbon in it, and the carbon with the gold was smeared along this fault. So I used to be able to go underground, and I could stand on some packs that they'd used to pack out where they were mining along the fault, and I could look down 200 meters down the mine into the distance, and you could just see people's lamps glowing further down the mine while these people were mining this sub-vertical slot in the rocks that had gold and carbon in it. You know, certainly when I was doing mining, and I think so today as well, that people are just, it's quite hard to see a way into mining. And I wish that there was a better summer program, so there were better chances for students to go out and work on the mines for a summer, experience some really quite remote areas, but get to see what mining is like. And I think what we'd find is that the more students that get an awareness of this, the more chance there is that students will be recruited into the mining industry.